What's up, everybody? Welcome to the August 11th, 2025 IndiView Weekly Market Update. I'm Jeremy Bryan, and this is powered by Indy Wealth. Today, we're just going to talk about the hot button topics, so we're going to get right into it today. Let's start first with what is going on in the economy. I think this is probably, next to jobs, this is probably the thing I'm paying attention to most is the CPI report. CPI report comes out this week, and we're going to find out whether we're on an inflation reunion tour or not. Quick sidebar is my friends have gone to many of these reunion tours because as you get older, you go to reunion tours. I make fun of them every now and then because I think they went to the Motley Crue last one like 12 times because they keep coming back. But this one, I don't think anybody wants to see this reunion tour. We don't want to see a reacceleration of inflation. It's just going to cause a lot of problems. And the biggest worry about tariffs have been, do we see a reacceleration of inflation from them? Obviously, there's trade concerns and all the other stuff that go along with tariffs, but I think that's probably the biggest concern from a stock market perspective is, are the tariffs going to cause an inflation reacceleration that doesn't allow the Fed to cut rates? They're going to have to keep them up to try to control inflation, and that's going to create a stagnant to maybe declining economy. That's the biggest worry. That's what we find out with regard to the CPI report is, are we seeing a reacceleration of those prices? There hasn't been a lot of indication that tariffs have found their way into inflation yet. Inflation is still elevated. It's above long-term averages and above where the targets want to be, but really not that much. So we're going to see from this report if that changes here, or if we get even more evidence that tariffs aren't really affecting it, or that tariffs are implementing through other ways. That's what we're going to find out here. Again, 1 point does not make a trend, so we got to pay attention to that. But any reacceleration here is probably looked at negatively by the market. Turning to the market in and of itself, no one cares about stock market concentration right now because it's getting higher and higher, and so are all-time highs, right? The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ are near all-time highs, or probably at all-time highs right now. And it's as concentrated as it's ever been. So from that perspective, it is just one of those things that people just aren't putting a lot of stock into right now. The fact that we're being driven by these large, mostly AI-oriented companies at this point, people just really aren't putting a lot of worry on this right now. I mean, that's causing, from our perspective, causing earnings to be, the price to earnings multiple, the valuation multiples, the S&P 500 are getting pretty high. We're back in 1999 territory. I think the companies that are comprising this are significantly more healthy than they were back then, but just from a pure valuation perspective, we're there. So from that side, that's what I worry about, is that it is driving our overall valuation significantly higher, and just the lack of participation from maybe some of the other companies. Not that the other companies have been bad. There's certainly some very good stories outside of the top 10, but it's the average company is underperforming these bigger companies, and that's why you're seeing the S&P 500 go very well, while the equally weighted S&P 500 not quite so good. On the earnings side, I think we largely made it through. I mean, we're most of the way through earnings at this point, and I think we came through relatively unscathed. From my side, I see, earnings growth in that almost double-digit range, and it could actually be a little bit higher than that. That is fine. There is nothing wrong with double-digit earnings. We'll take that all day long. The estimates did not come down severely. They came down a bit, but not aggressively. And in fact, towards the end, we started to see them go up again. And there was talk about tariff influence on input costs, which was going to hurt margins, which was going to hurt earnings, but it wasn't dramatically. We're not seeing what we had thought, personally, I had thought we would have seen a lot of people just saying, being very cautious with guidance, right? Because when you have input costs adjusting so aggressively, if you're a company, there's, if you don't know what your input costs are going to be, how do you guide? We didn't see as much of that. I think I was actually probably wrong on that, is that the guidance was not pulled back aggressively from this. So they're not seeing it in their numbers so much that it's causing them to say, well, we got to take a pull back. We got to see what guidance looks like. Some are, but the overall aggregate did not really experience that as much as maybe I had anticipated. So Earnings from this point right now are looking pretty good, and we don't really talk again. I mean, we got retail companies coming up, right? So we're going to learn a little bit more there. But really now we're looking at the September or October timeframe as the next wave of earnings that are really impactful to what is going on in the economy. Obviously, we've got some one-offs coming up that are very, very important, and we'll learn from more from there. But just from an aggregate perspective, the story has largely been told at this point. Lastly, and on a personal note, I've had groceries delivered this weekend, and I've had it honestly for the better part of a year now. I use both Target and Walmart services for these, and I gotta say, I am a huge believer in them. The biggest change has been I don't really go to the grocery store much anymore at all. I get most of my stuff delivered to me. I enjoy it. I think it's great. It's right at my front door. I go from my front door to my kitchen. I'm done. And I got to pay them a tip. And everything goes online. Everything's done. My shopping experience, the things I get, even the substitutes I get when I get substitutes have generally been pretty good. Most people know what they're doing when they go shopping for me. So I am a huge proponent of grocery delivery from a time perspective. I understand the people who want to peruse and feel the squash and all that stuff when you're in the produce section. I get it. I get it. I used to be one of those people. I am certainly not one of those people any longer. I believe that 95% comes exactly the way I want it, and the other 5% is part of the cost of doing business and saving all of that time. Again, the tip side, my tips have gone up significantly, but I mean, these people are working well and they're working hard and they're helping me out and they're saving me a bunch of time. So happy to do that. And overall, I think grocery delivery in the Bryan household, at least, and frankly, I think as we go forward, grocery delivery will just be a higher and higher percentage of the overall market share. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was helpful and informative. If you like this, please like and subscribe and tune in next week where we'll next have our next hot button topics. Until then, thank you and take care.